those are the main things, I think, to help people go from a complete cold visitor to a converted client. So that's one thing that could really help with cash flow. But you do need to have this breadth of knowledge across the whole company, across the whole agency. So the best way of doing that, instead of being pulled from one department to the next department on a day-by-day basis, is
perfect. So just to start off, Joe, AI is obviously a massive thing that a lot of people are getting their hands dirty with right now. What kind of things are you using AI in the best kind of ways to buy back your time, get things done faster? What are you doing?
So I've not got too geeky with it yet. Like, I'm not doing all these automations and complicated things like that. The main thing I'm using it for is like an assistant. Like, every day I'm chatting to ChatGPT and I'm chatting about business stuff. I'm chatting about numbers, uploading CSVs with numbers in and asking it to analyze and look at patterns, that kind of thing. So really it's like personal assistant for me. I'm not really using it very in depth for client work or for internal processes, even a very, very light touch on the AI stuff. Everyone's kind of using it for planning and assisting with ideation and that kind of thing. We use it a lot for digital PR, ideation, that kind of thing. But yeah, mainly just as an assistant. And probably one of my favorite tools in AI is like summarizing YouTube videos. Like, I just watched so many YouTube videos in the past, and you'd spend like 2 hours watching one, but now you can like summarize it and first of all, it makes it obvious if it's going to be worth watching, but also then you can like customize this the prompt to kind of give you some actionable steps from the YouTube video. So stuff like that, like assistant stuff, summarizing stuff, that's the main thing at the moment.
Awesome. Have you mucked about with NotebookLM?
I have. Yeah, the one that makes like a podcast for you and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it has been, for me, I enjoy reading and stuff, but I like it when I can listen to something. Like, I love audiobooks and podcasts. But what we've been doing recently is we'll put up a load of resources in it. So like, obviously all these like AI mode and all these updates that are coming out at the minute. So instead of us just trying to learn, because we're not SEOs, so instead of us just trying to learn that from like reading it from an SEO perspective, on the little podcast side, on the sidebar on the Notebook LLM, we contextualize it, like saying we're SEO recruiters, this is what we're doing. And it speaks to you like two radio show hosts. And there's a beta version at the minute. It doesn't work all the time, but while it's talking, you can press it. And it's like the two hosts are like, oh, it's Josh is tuning in right now. Let's just hold. What can we help you with? And you ask it a question and it like changes for me, for learning, it's been insane.
Yeah, I've had a play with that, but I haven't gone as deep as that stuff. Yeah, so it's kind of like giving you your own personal podcast kind of thing.
Yeah, and again, as I said, just for me, like learning, it's great. And again, like what you talked there about like finance stuff with AI, I don't know about you, but I know as a business owner, you should be involved in your accounting and your books and like what's going on. But it's like a different language for me. And uploading like CSVs and just telling it to like just make it all like simplified, just makes it a lot easier.
It can spot patterns quicker than a human can looking through it. I mean, we were doing some pricing changes on some of our services last week, and I ran the numbers through ChatGPT, all the sales numbers, and I kind of ran some scenarios saying if we increase prices by 20% on this package and we assumed a 10% drop off, what would be the outcome? So I was running some scenarios, and it's just way quicker than me using Google Sheets and loads of formulas. So yeah, for stuff like that, it's great.
Awesome. Next thing I want to get on to is time scheduling. You've done quite a few posts off it. And I know from when I first started talking to you a year, 2 years ago, you were big on, I think it was like taking Mondays off. And your whole thing was that as a CEO, you need to be removed from the business to understand like strategy and just kind of give everything a bird's eye view. But take us through, I think you did a LinkedIn post about it last week. We've got dedicated days for certain topics. So do you want to just take us through how you do that?
Yeah, so I think like as an agency owner, you touch in so many parts of the business. You've got to have a knowledge of so much width, and you don't want to be getting too deep into any of the departments. You don't want to be getting too deep in any of the, let's say, hands-on tactics, that kind of thing. But you do need to have this breadth of knowledge across the whole company, across the whole agency. So the best way of doing that, instead of being pulled from one department to the next department on a day-by-day basis, is assigning each day to a department. Now, for me, it kind of works as Monday is best for product, like looking at the app and the admin side and the client side. Tuesday for marketing. Wednesday for services, so looking at improving services and pricing and CRO. Thursday will be operations, like hiring staff, any staff issues or things we need to do with team members, outsourcing. And then Friday is the day that I usually take off, and I like use that for like ideation or relaxing or listening to podcasts, catching up on some YouTube videos that I'll summarize anyway. But yeah, having those categories really helps you focus on those days. And that means like your big task of the day, which I try and allocate like 2 to 4 hours on a big task every day. That task has got to be involved in that department. And then the rest of the day should be talking to those team members, checking if there's any constraints that team members have got, because it's your job as a founder to kind of remove those constraints with a new strategy or money or resources. So dedicating a whole day to that is really key. Now, does that mean you ignore everyone else in every other department? No, like it's not going to be perfect. You're going to get someone from operations wanting to speak to you on a Monday when that's a product day. That's okay, but it's not going to be perfect. It's just that you've got this intention every day to only work on that department. So I think it really helps.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, again, from knowing you, I know you're very systematized and like strict with it. But again, like your team, you've got head off departments, right? So you can kind of sit back and do those on each day, which I think is very important.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And then, so FatJoe, right? You guys process an insane amount of orders each month. And again, from knowing more about your team, you've got a very lean team. So obviously efficiency is very, very important to you guys. What's one system or process that most agencies get wrong when trying to scale that you can see?
So I think unless you've productized your service, unless you've productized your services, you can't really scale. I don't see any way you can do it unless you're adding loads and loads and loads of people. If you're just taking on any job and you're quoting work and you're doing bespoke projects, it's going to be very, very hard to do it with a lean team. You know, if you've got teams of hundreds, if you're Neil Patel Digital and you've got, 300 people all over the world, then you can take on a bespoke project. Yeah, fine. But if you want to do it as a 20-man agency or a 15-man agency, you've got to have some kind of productization. And I think where agencies get this wrong is they don't productize. They don't have, at least on the back end, repeatable systems that they know exactly how to complete a certain campaign or a certain order from a set of inputs. And I think it's essential if you want to scale. So whether you're doing SEO or whether you're doing video content, I think it's really essential to have that productization.
Yeah, and it's funny because we did a podcast with you like a year and a half ago. And that whole thing was about productizing, and that's kind of your thing. But what's funny is we had one client that came through completely through our website, no sales call, and ended up being like a 20K placement fee. And to me, I was always like, it was my limiting belief of that. I was like, there's no way, especially like within recruitment and having to understand the team and everything. I was like, no way that somebody would pay that kind of money without understanding like more about the. But yeah, that's kind of just opened up something for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a limiting belief. I do speak to agency owners, and they get really scared about taking, a call button off the website, or they get scared about taking on orders without speaking to the client. And I think it's just, if you've got the facilities on your website to intake a client, you don't need to have those calls. You can get the same information from a form. You don't need to have that lengthy call. But yeah, I think it's a limiting belief that some agencies have.
Yeah, and I remember the example you gave me was you can go and buy a Tesla, $100,000 Tesla, without jumping on a call with anybody, going to test drive it, and you can literally just do it on the platform. But talking about that, so you said like building trust on the website. So like, what kind of things would you need on the website to build those trusts? Because again, not having a sales call to like most agency owners is like terrifying. So like, what kind of trust signals could you put on your website to help do that?
So I think it all comes from, again, like I keep saying it, but productizing your service. Once you've done that, everything flows from there, because if you haven't got a product and all productizing the services is turning your service into a product. So it's like selling, you know, these. I haven't then got to have a call about selling you sunglasses. You just know what they are, you know what the price is, you know when they're going to get delivered, you know what kind of material it is. You can look at it on the website. You can see an example of it. And we do the same with our services. You know, we make it super clear. This is what you get. This is when you're getting it. Here's an example of how it looks. Those are the main things, I think, to help people go from a complete cold visitor to a converted client. The next thing, obviously, everyone knows the conversion tactics that you need to have on your website, which is like you need to have some proof that your product is going to do what you say it's going to do. You need to have testimonials. You need to have some kind of trust on there, like a picture of your team. It helps to have all the usual stuff, you know, an about us page, a contact us page if they need to get in touch, and all that kind of stuff to really build in trust. But I think the main thing is going to stem from productizing your service, having something really obvious that you're selling, because I think that's going to take someone from zero to customer.
Awesome. And were you productized from day one?
Yeah. So very early on, we was taking on some bespoke work, which we quickly stopped after a while. But we had these options on our website, to be for a customer to come on the website and to order. So it was very early days we was doing that. Yeah.
Awesome. Because you are seeing a lot more SEO agencies trying to go down that model. But again, like I feel like you guys are way on top with that because you've done it from day one.
Yeah. I think it's we are surprising ourselves now because we keep getting bigger and bigger orders of like people who are buying a service without speaking to us, and it's like, wow, you know, people really will just buy a 50 grand service without speaking to anyone. So it's like we're more convinced of it now as we ever was. So yeah, I think it's a good model.
Awesome. And again, cash flow is a big thing that a lot of agency owners run into issues with. It's surprising how many agency owners I know that are running like paycheck to paycheck, which is pretty nuts. So what's your philosophy around cash flow management, and what kind of advice would you give on runways for agencies?
I think Runway, having less than 6 months to me would make me sleep not very well. We've got a few years Runway, so we're safe in that regard. But I think 6 months, I think, is a nice runway. But when I see agencies run into cash flow problems, it's usually a couple of things. And the first one is not taking payment up front. So a lot of agency owners will tell me that they've got to have invoicing terms with the companies they work with. They demand these 30-day invoicing terms. I don't buy it. I think you can really state on your website it's payment up front, or we don't work with XYZ. Once you take the payment up front, there's no chance of creeper scope. There's no chance that your margins are going to be unpredictable. You've took the payment up front. You're going to do the exact work that client has asked for. So that's one thing that could really help with cash flow, because chasing payments and you've got to pay staff and that kind of thing, they're the things that are causing this turbulence in cash flow. The next thing is billing by hours. So many agencies that I spoke to that have cash flow issues are billing by hours. Now, that is only a problem when it becomes a problem, because to bill by hours, the only way you can grow is to add more hours. And to add more hours, you need to add more people. And if you're adding more people on the payroll, that's great when business is good. But when business goes a little bit bad, you've got all these people on the payroll. You don't want to get rid of them, because what if the business goes back up again? So you're stuck in this really difficult position where you're paying staff and you haven't got the work for it. So the cash flow is going to be turbulent again. So I'd say in that case, don't bill by the hour, bill by value. And that way you can use contractors or you can outsource. And that means you don't have to have a huge team. You don't have to scale with hours. You can scale with deliverables or value. So that would be my two solutions to those two problems.
Yeah, I love that. And even like coming into our business, you gave us the advice to charge up front, and it was literally your advice that we were like, right, we're going to start charging an activation fee, because all of our competitors will work for free until they place somebody and put them in. We've now charged an activation fee, which again, a lot of people ask me, do we have exclusivity rights when we work with a client? But it's funny how that activation fee basically works as an exclusivity right as well, because there's not going to be a lot of people are going to be like, okay, we'll use like 5 different recruitment partners just to see who we can fit if we're paying a couple grand upfront for this one. So I think that's really, really good advice.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Awesome. And Joe, you guys have gone through COVID, AI disruption, like a lot of back and forth, economic downturns, industry storms, all of it. What's your advice for recession-proofing your agency?
I think it actually ties into the last point of not building a huge team if you don't have to. Because again, like with the billing by hours stuff, you grow in a huge team, industry storm happens or economic, whatever it might be, just business goes flat for a little bit, you're stuck with this big payroll. So I think utilizing outsourced providers, utilizing outsourced suppliers is going to be the key to staying flexible and scalable, because you can scale up when times are good, you can scale down when times are bad, you can keep your core team really small. So you should be able to weather those storms easier. I mean, we're an outsourced provider, but we actually outsource a lot of our work to contractors. So, we're doing what we're recommending, outsource to us, we're outsourcing as well. So using contractors, I think a lot more, especially this day and age, outsourcing has got a dirty word for some reason. People don't like the word outsourcing. I've never really understood it because I think it's perfect. I think people more and more since COVID are becoming contractors on the internet. They're becoming, it's the freelancer economy, the vendor economy. They're doing units of work for payment, project-based work. And I think it's perfect for agencies who can take advantage of that. Everyone wins.
Absolutely. And it's funny as well, like obviously owning a recruitment company, I should come back and be like, come on, Joe, you can't hire as many people as possible. But like, there's so many times we'll jump on calls with potential clients and we'll go through everything. And we're like, you actually don't have the scope for a full-time person. Like you're better off using a contractor, or you're better off using an agency. And we'll recommend whatever niche they're in or whatever, and we'll set those up. But yeah, I think as well as I'd say in the next like few years, all those teams that are, because there's big title agency names, I'm not going to give them out here, where like we'll talk them and we'll put them through our vetting process, and they've just been doing recommendations for the last 3 years with this fancy title and this fancy company name. And like my opinion is, in like 2-3 years time, those roles are going to be completely gone. Like we're already kind of seeing it with everything that's going on right now. So I personally actually back the whole lean team strategy.
Yeah, definitely. And when I say don't hire, I mean you have got to hire, of course. Like there is roles that you absolutely need, but I think agencies kind of where they get bloated or where they're kind of growing where they don't need to is where they're hiring for stuff that can be done by a specialist, a contractor that doesn't need to have massive involvement in the overall company. They can do a unit of work, you can pay for that unit of work, and it's a lot more scalable.
Absolutely. And content is obviously a big part of FatJoe. And I seen in a recent podcast that AI hit your content where there was like a 50% drop in sales, and you bounced back to, I think it was a 30% above previous levels. So first of all, like what changed, and how should agencies look at AI, not as a threat, but more as an opportunity?
Yeah. So when AI first happened, and when everyone started using ChatGPT and all the various tools out there, a load of content tools come online. I think everyone got overexcited and they were just overusing it, and it quickly become common knowledge that it was just terrible. It was very bad. But SEOs got too excited and they overused it. And I think what happened was there was a big excitement, and then there was a big sort of, it was frowned upon a lot. So what happened to us is we had the initial drop of like 50%. We lost 50% of our content orders. Then it come back when people had a different perspective on content and was like, you know what? I'm not going to use AI. I'm going to use human content only, because this AI stuff is rubbish. I'm going to carry on using human content. But then what happened? AI got pretty good, and it's getting better and better now, where to the point where I think you can use AI content and it's fine. Like I used to be totally against it. But I think more and more so now, with the right operator, with the right person in control of the prompts, you can get something from, you know, zero to a completely good, useful article, maybe in half an hour to an hour, you know, that might take a writer 4 hours, 5 hours. So I think what's happened now is there's just a bit of a balance. People are using AI for maybe some of their less premium content, and then they're using human content for their more premium clients that need a bit more thought. And in regards to like AI being a threat, I think agencies shouldn't worry about it. I think no matter what you can do with AI, no matter what you can do, a small business owner is never going to want to do it anyway. So even if you can create a whole SEO campaign from ChatGPT, a small business owner, or even like a marketing manager or whatever you're targeting, they don't want to be sitting in front of ChatGPT and doing this stuff. They don't want to be running the tools. They don't want to be thinking about this kind of stuff. They want to hire an agency who can do it 10 times as good. It's just the goalposts are moving as technology advances. So I don't think agencies have ever got anything to worry about in that regard, unless for some reason, you know, the owner of a roofing business decides, I'm going to stop caring about roofing and just start using ChatGPT and get really good at that. It's never going to happen. It's not in their interest.
Quick pause. If you're getting value from this conversation about scaling agencies and hiring top talent, I want to share something that might help you. Are you struggling to find A players for your digital marketing agency? We've got you covered. For SEO experts who turn rankings into revenue, head to SEOforhire.co. For paid media specialists who boost your bottom line, check out paidmediajobs.com. And if you're looking for foot rubs, you're definitely in the wrong podcast. All right, let's jump back into the episode. Yeah. No, I agree. And I was back in Ireland 2 weeks ago, and I was just walking around the town, and there's a few people I was chatting with, and there's like decent size, maybe 100-person finance agency, and like they're still at the stage where they could benefit from just having a CRM system. Everything is still on paper and pen within their company. And it's like, when, especially like us, when we're so deep in learning about like AIs and like what's going on in the industry, especially a lot of SEOs, you just like take a step back. And like, especially even where I live in Portugal, I live in a fisherman village where the average salary is €800 and they still pay cash for everything. And it's just like, sometimes you can just get so invested in it against your computer that, but no, I love what you said.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. And in terms of FatJoe, so I've heard you talk about that you've had conversations with like serious acquisitions, and you've remained independent within that. At what point? Well, first of all, why have you not sold? Like, what's the main goal there? I think that'd be interesting to cover. But also, at what point does an agency owner know it's time to sell versus keep on building?
I think with me personally, I just really enjoy it a lot. So I'm kind of like obsessed with the whole productization thing, as you probably can guess. I love the model that we've built. I love serving agencies with these deliverables. I love figuring out what they might need next, especially with this AI stuff. I love the stress with it. I love the problems, the challenges. So I'm very much in the game still, and my life is set up at the minute that I can spend a maximum amount of time on FatJoe. So I think I'm just kind of like in a good position to run it at the moment. I'm not saying that'll be forever, but at the moment I think it's perfect for me. Selling it wouldn't really change my lifestyle that much. It wouldn't affect it. So I don't think the exit would be beneficial too much to me. Like, it would just take away something that I enjoy doing at the moment. The reason that I would sell would be if there was an offer that was like a big merger or a big partnership, or maybe becoming part of a bigger group where FatJoe can take a bigger swing. You know, for example, this will never happen, but if Fiverr wanted to somehow partner with FatJoe, I think, well, that's some big power there, and you know, they're kind of doing what we're doing on a global scale. Maybe there's some synergy there, so I would consider that kind of thing. Or if my life changed, kind of where, you know, I don't want to dedicate as much time to the business and I want to step away, I think it would make sense then. So I think for agency owners, if they're thinking about selling, I think it's got to make sense to them. Like, if they really enjoy what they're doing and they've got the time and capacity and the energy to carry on doing it. I don't think there's any big reason to sell. I know a lot of people who sell and they get a little bit lost and they don't know what to do next, and their baby's gone. I think you need to consider those things before selling. But I think you kind of know if your life changes direction a little bit, you kind of know that it's going to be the right time. And I think setting your business up to sell anyway is just good business anyway. So I think always be ready to sell, even if you don't want to sell.
Awesome. And talking about acquisitions, you went over to Alex Hormozi's headquarters over in Las Vegas, what, a month or two ago?
Yeah.
What was your biggest lessons from that? What did you learn?
I think it was that kind of building the business to sell, even if you don't want to, and then looking at your own business like an investor would. And that's a real big eye opener, because we ran through the actual valuation framework that acquisition.com used to buy businesses. And part of the exercises of the day was to go through each step and evaluate your own business honestly, with the numbers, with the staff, with the risks, with, all kinds of market analysis, that kind of thing. And it's quite eye-opening to me to look at the business as like an outsider. I would have to change a few things before buying my own business, which was kind of an eye-opener to me. I think there's like risks in the business, like I'm too involved in some of the stuff in like product development, so that would have to be solved. And there's a few other things like recurring revenue that I'd like to bring up. So that would be the biggest takeaway, is to look at the business like an investor. And yeah, if you get the chance to go to one of those things, I'd recommend it.
Awesome. And does Alex become a friend after? You don't get his WhatsApp or anything, do you?
He does. If you pay him, I think the upsell was $30,000. So yeah, at the end of each day, there was like a talk, but it was actually just a sales pitch for the next level, which involved speaking to Alex like once a year or something like that. And yeah, it was a $30 grand upsell. So yeah, I didn't do that. But
yeah. I have a friend that he owns a few companies, but he was over in Beverly Hills at Ty Lopez's mastermind.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's 20 or 30 people are in this mega mansion in Beverly Hills, but it was something like the kitchen's locked to only people that pay. It's an extra $50K to then speak to him while he's either while they're cooking in the kitchen or while they're eating down. I was like, madness. But
crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. But Joe, your email funnel, I remember you talking about it last time on our podcast. I'm just wondering if anything's changed or even just any advice you can give on it. I remember you had a super simple email flow. I think it was everybody goes into the same, I think it was 2-month sequence.
Yeah.
Most agency owners overcomplicate email flows and segmentation. So kind of what advice do you give on that, keeping it as simple as that? And is that still the same kind of structure that you've got? Yeah,
it's still the same. Despite my marketing team, they do want to start doing segmentation. I keep saying, just don't do it. I don't like overcomplicating things. I don't think it's necessary. Segmentation is great if you've got two very different kinds of customers. I think, if you were Uber Eats and a restaurant signed up and then a customer signed up, of course, let's segment them and let's send them different emails. One will be about selling food. One will be about buying food. That's a perfect example of segmentation. Great. But if you're a company like us and you've got agencies that sign up, you've got heads of marketing that sign up, you've got small businesses that sign up, you've maybe got some affiliate sign up. To us, I don't think they're different enough to send them a whole different message. And maybe there will be some uplift if you speak to an affiliate a different way than you would an agency. Maybe there would, but I'm betting it wouldn't be a lot. It wouldn't be worth the over optimization, because what you lose by segmenting is the concentration of data. So if you keep a very simple funnel where everyone goes through one, you can do some tests, A/B test the subject, A/B test the copy, A/B test the offer, and you only get results so quick. But if you've segmented all your funnel into little 1,000, 2,000 members in each list, it's going to take forever, probably never, to get a conclusive answer on tests and things like that. So with our very simple one funnel, we've just been iterating that for 5 or 6 years, the same funnel, the same emails. We've just been changing the subject, changing the offer. At the end of the sequence, do we add another email with more testimonials, that kind of thing? Very easy to do with one. If you've got loads, it's so hard. So that's why I'm against segmentation.
Awesome. That's really, really interesting. And just back on the customers, I've seen you talk about it a lot. And I think you did a video recently where you talk about how when you were building your ICP, it was Adam. And I think it was the name Adam, and everything's based for Adam. Do you want to just walk us through that?
Yeah. So we create an avatar. Obviously, most of our customers, 90% of our customers, and probably 80% of our revenue come from agencies. And the reason we did that was because from the very start that we wanted this to be not about consulting, not about results, not about your SEO strategy, just to be about deliverables. So that they are the perfect customer. They've got their own strategies. They've got their own ideas of what SEO results should be. They just need the people to fulfill the parts in their campaign. And that's where we come in. So we're not taking away any of their expertise. We're not saying we know SEO. They're the experts. We just fulfill their campaigns. So when we decided that every advert, every piece of marketing on the website or every email should just speak to one person, and it's Agency Adam. He's got a 7-figure agency. He's got a lean team. He knows the value of outsourcing. He doesn't want to grow a huge bloated team. He just wants his clients to get results, and he wants to be able to clock off and sit on the beach and not have to worry about all these link building strategies and digital PR. He wants to work smart. So all of our marketing is just targeted at that one person for the most part. So yeah.
Awesome. And in terms of then building that and kind of trying to bring in a load of Adams, what's the best acquisition channels that work for FatJoe?
So the best ones that have worked for like 12 years has been Google Ads. We started very early on Google Ads within the first year, and it was less competitive then. You could get clicks at a very reasonable price, but now it's crazy competitive. But yeah, the good thing about Google Ads is it's the straightest line to get a customer, because people are searching for what you offer, and then you've got an ad saying we offer this. If your website is offering that as well at a good price, you should get sales. All it is then is like it's measuring how much you spend versus how much you earn. If you can put £1 in and get £3 back, you're good to go. And that's basically what we figured out, and that's what we've done for 10 years or 12 years. What we're trying to expand into now is, because the problem with Google Ads is you do exhaust the market. Not quickly, but you will at some point exhaust the market, because there's only so many people that are looking for what you do. There's a lot of potential customers that don't know they need you, or they're not even in the market yet. So for that, you're going to need things like Meta, like Facebook, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, where you do a lot of awareness and where you're, kind of saying, hey, you could do lead magnets. You could say, hey, you're an SEO agency. Here's how to outsource your deliverables, and it's a free ebook or it's a webinar or whatever it might be. So you get them in your list, or you get them in your funnel months or years before they're ever ready to buy. And even the stuff that you're obviously this because you're doing this podcast. This is an awareness channel. An agency will watch this. They might not use you tomorrow. They might not use you next week, but 6 months' time, when they need to recruit someone, they'll remember your name. So obviously, all this kind of stuff is, I think you need to be a little bit privileged to do it, because you need to have the capital and the steady machine of incoming leads. But once you've got that sorted, you can start experimenting with stuff like podcasts, Meta ads, that kind of thing. And that's what we're doing at the moment. We're doing a lot of branding as well, like social media. We've hired a brand manager who's doing a lot of experimental, disruptive, unhinged stuff on LinkedIn to try and gather even more attention and awareness. So yeah, Google Ads has been the main one though.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I've seen your team and you guys posting a lot more on LinkedIn, and I've seen some of your ads on Meta as well, which is really cool. So Joe, you also run Scalers, which is I think we talked about it, as 1,500 agency owners in there. where you post in there every single day. I'm in there as well. You post, you're commenting, you're kind of helping a load of agency owners. Anybody asks a question, you're in there first thing to help them steer that ship. So what would your advice, let's say there's an agency owner that's trying to break through a 50K month. What advice would you give to somebody like that trying to break through that and get to the next level?
I think if you're at 50K a month, I think you've got, you've probably got a lead generation problem. There's nothing you can do on the back end that's going to increase that 50K a month. There's nothing you can try and productize your service. You can try and change operations. You can make hires. You can do whatever you want. But if you haven't got more leads coming in, you're never going to get more clients. So I think the focus should be almost completely on getting new leads and working on your offer to convert those leads. So that might look something like Google Ads, like we spoke about, like take 10% of your revenue and put it in Google Ads and target people who are looking for your actual service offering. So if you're doing marketing for dentists or whatever, you can have an ad, which is someone searching dentist marketing, how to get more leads for my dentist. You've got an ad saying 100% full service dentist marketing. They click on the ad. You tell them everything that you offer. You've probably got, if you've not got productized services, you might have a book a call, or you might have some kind of lead magnet webinar, something like that. So I would just be working on the offer completely and the traffic coming into that offer. I wouldn't even work on anything on the back end at 50K a month.
Awesome. There's myself and our team, we do a strategy call every week where we just kind of go over everything on marketing. And there's a guy called Taki Murr that we follow. And
I follow him after you recommended him. Yeah.
He's one of my favorite places. He just breaks things down very, very simple.
Yeah.
He talks about the framework that all your messaging should be fears to wants to aspirations. And he has this whole thing. But we were just brainstorming with the team yesterday, and we were like, every single one of our clients were like, well, what's their pain point? And every one of them was nearly fixed by 8 to 10 more leads. And we were kind of just laughing about it. We're just like, nearly everybody out there has just got a lead problem. And again, Chris Dreyer, who's a client of ours, and he was on the podcast. Like, he just talks about it. He was like, as a founder, it should be leads and marketing. Sales and marketing is like the biggest thing that you should just be going at. It's like, you can hire people for operations eventually. You can hire people for the delivery side. But like, as a founder, especially in today's age where there's so much AI crap out there, if you've got your face out there and you're like the personal brand of the company, it's just a no-brainer to bring in leads that way.
Yeah. I think most problems can be fixed with more leads, because you'll figure out the back end stuff later. You'll just naturally figure it out. But I think a lot of people do try and figure out their back end, and they try, they might be looking at their website and the web design before they've even got 10 clients. It's like, just have a Google Doc. Doesn't matter. Just get the leads in first. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth looking at that first.
Awesome. And Joe, what's one metric that every agency owner should track daily that most ignore?
Okay, so I think for us, because we're not a traditional agency, I think it's a little bit different for us. I look at like number of new customers that we get every day as like a bit of a vanity metric. I'm just obsessed with that number. I want that to be higher every day. But I think if I was a traditional agency owner where the lead to conversion has a bit more latency, it might involve a call, or it might involve some longer winded process, I think I'd be looking at the number of leads per day. And if you're doing sales and marketing correct, that number of leads shouldn't go down. It should go up all the time as you get more efficient with ads, more efficient with whatever else, cold email. I think number of leads per day is a good metric.
Awesome. And my last question for you, Joe, is with all this noise that's out there with AI and everything, and everybody thinking that their agency is not going to be a thing and their SEO is going to be dead again for the 100th time, where do you lie in that, and what's the future of FatJoe and Joe Davies look like? Yeah,
so I think, SEO has never died. SEO's not died so far, so we shouldn't be worried that it's going to die this time. SEO, again, I hate the phrase, SEO isn't dead, it's just evolving. I hate saying it, but it kind of is. It kind of is turning into people aren't searching anymore, and this is going to get more and more prevalent. People won't search anymore. They'll use a search assistant, because all ChatGPT it's an assistant that searches for you. So you ask ChatGPT a question and it's searching for you. Like it's it's going into its database that it's already got, but it also uses search engines. It also uses live data. So ChatGPT or any AI overview does the searching for you and brings back a set of results. To be included in that set of results, you're going to have to do some marketing, brand mentions, link building, all the same stuff. It might change a little bit, but it's generally the same. So I don't think agencies, SEO agencies in particular, have got anything to worry about. Again, going back to a point that we made earlier, business owners are not interested in doing stuff that marketers do, whether it's AI or whether it's manual stuff. Business owners aren't going to be interested in it. They've got their own things they want to do. A roofing company, they want to do roofing. They don't want to get involved in ChatGPT or AI tools or automations. So they're always going to need an agency to do the marketing stuff. So I think, yeah, to say that cliche thing, it's not dead, it's evolving.
Awesome. Cool. Joe, thank you so much. Where can people find you if they want to follow along in your journey?
So yeah, you can find me at on LinkedIn, Joe Davies. You can go to scalers.so for the community, or fatjoe.com if you want to buy some links, buy some content. Go ahead.
Awesome. And we'll link everything below if anybody's looking for that. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're an agency owner that is wanting to scale and wants to continue bringing your business to new heights and doesn't want to put everything on pause for hiring and finding the best talent that's out there in SEO and paid media, well, that's something I can help with. I own a recruitment company that has specialized in both the SEO and paid media sector, and we work with 100+ businesses. So I'm going to leave 2 links below. There's no big pitch here, but if you want to talk over strategy and hiring and how myself and my team can find you the best A-player talent in both the SEO and paid media sector, then please book in, and I look forward to talking to you. Thank you.